this is our tithe, but we're going to keep it right there in case we have an emergency come up. We all know life, emergencies always come up. You're never going to have a time when you set money aside for an emergency and it doesn't get used. So when this group came back, they came back owing money to facilities, owing money to different markets, and owing money to hotels. They came back in debt. And yet they had faith in God, but they didn't give complete faith in God. They left room to survive on their own. And you need to have a complete faith in God, faith without doubt, faith without uncertainty, faith that he can do absolutely anything, no matter how improbable it may seem. The third thing that Gehazi tells us is to have faith in God to protect you. In 2 Kings 6, we find the story of the Aramean army coming against specifically Elisha. They had been attacking Israel, and Elisha kept telling the king of Israel, hey, the Aramean army is going there, so you need to move away from here. And the Aramean king was like, how are they knowing these things? Who is the spy? And someone came to him and said, there's no spy. God is telling this man Elisha what you say in the privacy of your own bedroom. And so they came and they decided, we are going to attack Elisha and the city he is in. And in 2 Kings 6:15, we see that the servant of the man of God got up and went out early the next morning. An army with horses and chariots had surrounded the city. Oh, my lord, what shall we do? The servant asked. Gehazi is commonly accepted to be the servant. And this story doesn't specifically name him, but we're going to accept that this is probably Gehazi. And Elisha said, calm down. Just realize that we have an army so much stronger than them that's supporting us. And Gehazi is looking around going, not seeing it. There is nothing here. And so Elisha said, God, open his eyes. And Gehazi looked out and saw these amazing army. The hills were filled with chariots of fire and horses that were all supporting them. And Elisha prayed to God again and said, just blind this Aramean army. And he was able to lead them away and solved the problem without even having the army fight. God does miracles, sometimes not in the way that you expect. There was an army surrounding the Aramean army, but he didn't use the army to protect Elisha. He blinded the Arameans and let Elisha lead their entire army away. When I was 18 or 19, I was on my way to school at a community college that was an hour away from where I lived. And so I had to leave really early in the morning. The problem is I'm a night person. I hate going to bed and I hate waking up. And so I had probably gone to bed around 2 or 3 in the morning that night and woke up at 6 to head to school so I could get there by 7:30. And I found myself on the Tenino-Dakota Highway, which is a tiny little highway in the middle of nowhere. And I woke up suddenly in the middle of driving home on the other side of the road on the grass headed towards railroad tracks, and I freaked out. I swerved over to the right and then swerved to the left, going back and forth across the highway, finally rolling 4 times across the highway and landing in a ditch. I got out of my car, and I have a thing about locking doors. I unlocked my door, I got out of my car, and I locked my door. And then I went looking for my glasses and my purse and my cell phone, realized they're not out here. So I went back into my door, got in, found my glasses, locked the door, got out, and said, well, maybe if I can see, I can find myself. Still couldn't find it. So again, I unlocked the door, got in, finally found my purse and started calling my dad. At this point, there were definitely a rout of people surrounding me and trying to get help and calling ambulances, and one woman realized that I was bleeding on my elbow and I had a sweatshirt on. And so she said, well, do you have any way we can get this off? And I said, well, there's a pair of scissors in my passenger seat. And of course, after my car had rolled across the highway and swerved all over the world, like they're gonna still be in the passenger seat. She opened my passenger side door, pulled the scissors out, cut my sweater off without even blinking an eye. They had me sit behind my car to just kind of sit down and relax and de-stress. And when the ambulance arrived, the paramedics got out and they said, all right, where'd the body land? And I'm thinking, I'm right here. I'm fine. And I was definitely in shock. I didn't quite realize the extent of this accident. Well, if you were to see my car, the frame of the car had completely collapsed. The windshield frame that goes right along the top had collapsed in to where it should have decapitated me. Like, there was no room for my head if you look at the car. Also, the door frames had wrapped around the car frame, and there was absolutely no way that those doors could have been opened. But I know that I got in and out of the driver's side 3 or 4 times, and the woman got into the passenger side. I know that I got in and out of that car, and my dad, who went to see this car in the junkyard, was like, I'm strong and I couldn't get in there. There's no way. But I know it was possible. I went to the emergency room, and within hours, I was gone. I got 9 stitches on my arm that I actually sustained from a cut when I was trying to get out of the car. The car accident did absolutely nothing to me. While I was rolling across the highway, my rain jacket had flown from the back seat over my face, and so all the glass that was shattered everywhere did nothing to me. I was completely protected. I know that there was an army of angels surrounding that car. There wasn't just one guardian angel like everybody says you have a guardian angel, but there was an army around me of miraculous, wonderful people. And I know that God will protect you. I want you to think about absolutely everything in your mind that worries you. And I want you to think about what sustains you the most. What thing do you think about all the time? And I want you to realize, are you giving that to God? Are you saying, okay, God can have this, but I don't really think you can do it? Or are you saying, you know, you're not handling it the way I want you to, so I'm going to take it back? I want you to think about that one thing, and I want you to give it to God right now. No matter what is going on, no matter what it is, no matter how much you think you can handle it yourself, know that God can handle it better than you could ever imagine. Just remember, do not be a Gehazi, but have faith in God to do miracles in your life.